Hey guys, how are you? This is Ishai Breslower, your host of the CRE Shark Eye Show. Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today we have a very, very interesting show that I was very curious about, and we're going to talk about everything about the process of acquisitions, streamlined into one. How do you say source in one way? And there's a company that does that. Believe it or not, we're going to talk to them today. And Charlie Coppola is with us to talk about all that process and all that stuff. And I'm very, very excited about it. Charlie, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be on and talk to you about our company.
So, you know what? Before we dig into your story, how you guys launched this company, give us a 2-minute elevator pitch about your company.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you, I know we'll get into kind of the history of the company, but I'll just tell you to start really what we do. So the name of the company is CRE OneSource, and our platform, OneSource, is really a platform to bring all deal participants on any commercial real estate transaction all to one spot. So we say it's the source of truth for a commercial real estate deal. And Yishai, any commercial real estate transaction has 10 or 15 different individuals involved, whether it's brokers or, clients, inspectors, title company, appraisers, space planners, you name it, attorneys, right? And right now, a lot of brokers and lenders, they all have a CRM that really helps them prospect, Salesforce, Apto. Those are kind of the big ones we hear, Ascendix even. But then once they actually get a deal, there is no system today to actually complete that deal and push that deal closed. And so everyone reverts back to email, face-to-face meetings, phone calls, and it's very disparate. And so OneSource is, as you know, in the name, a spot to bring all the people, the documents, the tasks, the data, the communication all into one spot to facilitate the transaction and essentially get that deal from start to finish.
Great. That was very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into this like deep
Yeah.
into this whole thing. And I'm very, very curious about it, as I said. Before we do, let's go back a little bit. I know you're young. You're young.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, 27 years old. Everyone can do it. Okay. So 27 years old. That's very, very inspiring. It's beautiful. I love that. Let's go back for you, maybe 7 years or 6 years or something like that. You tell us. And obviously you did it with your dad. Let's go back a little bit for you. Let's go back in time. Tell us about your dad and about his background, and then where you joining, let's go through the history a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'll go back further than 7 years and start with my dad. So his name is Craig Coppola. He's been a commercial real estate broker for 37 years. And so he's been, his whole career has been out here in Phoenix, Arizona. But he was actually one of the founding partners of Lee and Associates Arizona, which is, it's a national company now, right? Started in Southern California. He opened, I think, the 7th or 8th office here in Phoenix. And then they've expanded. I think they're above 60 offices now nationwide.
Wow.
And he's
what's the name of the offices?
It's Lee and Associates.
Lee and Associates. Yeah.
Yep. And their founder, Bill Lee, was a mentor of my dad. He passed a year ago. But anyway, he helped found the Lee and Associates Arizona office, and he's been doing transactions for 37 years. So he is mostly office leasing, but he'll do acquisitions. He'll do, all different asset classes. But like I said, mostly office stuff. I obviously grew up in a real estate household, right? That was his venture, his career. And so I vividly remember Saturday mornings, he'd pile me and my sisters into his car, and we'd go drive different neighborhoods, different parts of the city, and just look at buildings with him. And so that was part of my childhood. And then if I'll fast forward into when I was in high school, I remember him sitting down with me, going through buildings, analyzing the finances on a spreadsheet, looking at financial statements, and he'd kind of teach me that, before I'd ever taken classes on it. So,
How old you were?
What's that?
How old you were at that time?
I was in high school. So what, 16, 17, 18.
Wow,
Um,
that's
and
amazing.
yeah, it was a
What a great
um,
experience.
great experience, and great for me to kind of see that world really before I knew it. And I think he just had a passion for teaching. I know that he has a passion for teaching because he continues it to this day. And so I'll fast forward. That was really how I grew up, right, with my dad and in the commercial real estate world. Out of school, I actually started in banking and in lending. So I joined a big bank, and was an underwriter on the credit side. Big bank, BBVA. I'm not sure if you're familiar. They're big in Europe, South America, and they had a big U.S. group, BBVA Compass. They actually just sold to PNC Bank. But I was an underwriter on their CIB team, their corporate investment banking team, in Dallas, Texas, and got really good at Excel, understood how to analyze business models, and understand trends and market trends. And it was a great start for my career. I then moved to a startup in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was kind of in the commercial real estate space, but not really. It was office furniture. So we would come in at the very end. We'd work with developers and brokers. And when they lease out a space, we'd come in and sell office furniture to help furnish and design the company or the space. And I was on the finance side there. So I ran all the finance, accounting, HR, and ultimately all the operations as well. And we had a huge growth a couple of years when I was there, which was a ton of fun for me to be a part of. I think we more than tripled our revenue, and more than 6 times our bottom line over the couple of years that I was there.
And how old were you? Were you there when you entered and when you left?
Yeah, I must have been probably, let's see, 25, 24 when I joined, and then 20, I just left last year, so 26-ish. So I was there for 3 years, and
Nice.
and it was a good experience. And then OneSource kind of came onto our radar, and I can tell you the whole backstory of how this happened. But obviously, as you know, it was between me and my dad, and when that happened, it was a really unique opportunity to work closely with my dad, a unique opportunity to go, ground level and really try to build something from the ground, and in an industry that I knew well and was really interested in, and obviously he knows well too. And so I jumped at that. That was a year ago in June, and so just over a year ago, and we've been at it for about 15 months now.
So you know what? Let's go and dig into how the idea formatted, meaning to
Yep.
come and launch this type of company.
Yep.
What was the first seed that came
Yep.
to your dad, to you, to both of you? I don't know what that came and said, "We need this product. Let's create it." What was the trigger?
Yeah, so we have a non-conventional story, and
I love to hear it.
It really starts with back in 2016. So the company was founded by Laura Millichap. I don't know if you know Laura. Her dad, Bill Millichap, obviously is a commercial real estate
Marcus and
titan.
Millichap, yeah.
Yeah, one of the founders of the big Marcus and Millichap. So his daughter Laura actually founded a company called CRE Simple in 2016 in the Silicon Valley area. And I don't know if you're familiar with Laura or CRE Simple.
No, what is it?
And that was really the origin of this company. And so in 2016, she founded the company. She raised $7 million of venture capital money, and really built a team, built the platform. She ended up bringing her husband in as the CEO, I think maybe 2 years in. And they really started building this platform. And around 2020, they were getting ready to launch. They had a couple free trial users, and they ended up going through a divorce. And so they decided to sell the assets. And my dad, in addition to his commercial real estate background, right, in brokerage, he's over the last 20, 25 years invested in startup companies. And so he has 40, 45 active investments. One of them was actually CRE Simple. He was a very small minority investor in the company. And given his background, his interest, his relationships in the industry, and when they decided to sell the assets, he said, "Hey, this is a really unique opportunity. Given my background and the position of this company, they've really built this platform, and it's ready to go to market." And so he decided to acquire the assets, the code, the branding, and basically said, "Hey, this is something my team uses. This is something that we get a lot of value out of." And thought, "Hey, I can help take it to the masses and go to market." And so that was in June of last year. And then since then, it's a unique story, right? Because there's this platform that was developed over 4 or 5 years. And yet our team and our business and our vision is pretty new and young. And so when I came on and joined the team with my dad last summer, we were tasked with building a business, building a team around this existing product. And so, it's not your everyday startup, from idea to execution kind of process. But what we found over the last year is we really did have to have our own vision. And we couldn't just piggyback on the prior team's, vision. We really had to create our own company. And so that's what we've been doing over the last year plus.
So you just, launched the next question, basically. I was about to ask exactly that. What caused, so that was the reason that you guys changed the name also, I'm assuming, because you saw that you need to actually take it upon yourself. What was CRE Simple that drove you guys to come and say, CRE Simple is not what we want to do exactly. Right. We want to make CRE OneSource. Like, what was there? What was the vision there? What was the product there that you guys said, okay, I want to do that?
Yeah. So there were a couple of things that they were doing. They were actually brokering loans. So they were actually acting as a mortgage broker, a commercial mortgage broker, while trying to build the platform and eventually run loans through the platform. And so when we acquired the platform, we didn't necessarily have an interest in brokering loans and doing that part of the business. We said, "Hey, we want to build this platform and really build it out, add features and build it more for the masses." And so one of the first things we did was we acquired the company in June. By August, so literally within a month or two, we had adjusted a few things on the platform to make it so lease transactions could flow through the platform, right? It was originally built for mortgage, brokering and acquisitions, but my dad's background in leases, that was kind of a unique thing to his skill set and something that was unique to us compared to the prior team. And we said, "Hey, we want to make a few adjustments so that we can run lease transactions in addition to the acquisition deals." And so that was one change. And obviously that was a big deal to my dad because his team was starting to use it. And it just worked really, really nicely with them. And a few other things too. I think, we've really instilled our own culture. We have it on our website, some of our non-negotiables. And I think, when you're building a business, it all happens around the team and the culture. And I think, yes, you need product market fit. You need bug-free software. You need to develop new features. You need sales. You need whatever it is. There's, 20 different things you need to have a successful company, but none of that happens without a good team. And so from the very beginning, we were focused on building the right culture, building the right team. So anytime we added someone, it was, "Hey, you're going to, you believe in the values we believe in. We're going to all kind of row in the same direction and eventually build this team and this company into what we think it can be."
I love it. I just love the idea. So now we got to the point where you have a company, you took a team, you took a product, and you actually made it completely different because CRE Simple was basically a mortgage broker platform, something different. And now you're creating an acquisition software or platform that is inclusive for everything. Let's start digging in to what really is, meaning I know you gave us the 2-minute
Yeah.
elevator pitch, but let's go and dig into the the juice of what the company is about and what solution you guys are giving in detail. Let's go in. Let's get in. Why do we need this? Why do we do this? Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's really 3 different user segments that we are actively selling to, talking to, and getting value from our platform. And those 3 are commercial real estate brokers, either leasing or sales. It doesn't matter. They can get value from it. Mortgage brokers, and that was really, like I said, the prior team had built it really well for them. And so we've had a lot of success on the mortgage broker side. And then private lenders. We're in discussions with a few banks, but the product is a ways off from being really ready for the FDIC and the regulatory environment that banks need. And so the private lenders are all about speed, efficiency. A lot of them don't have any software, and maybe they have a spreadsheet or a SharePoint or something to help kind of keep things a little bit organized. But this is really the next step for them. And so those are the 3 segments that we're actively targeting and having success with. And what we do, to help them, there's really a few things. One, we say it's effortless organization, right? So super easy to have all of your deals in one spot. It's another thing that I think OneSource does really, really well is it clearly defines who's responsible for what on any transaction. So again, it's unique that OneSource works both internal and external, right? Most software platforms, you pay for licenses, and anyone who has a license, you're paying for, and you're typically not including external individuals. With OneSource, you would really only pay for internal licenses, but you can invite anyone external. So clients, like I said, any of the deal participants. And then you can assign tasks to them, collect documents from them, review documents with them, and ultimately get a timeline for the deal and close it. And so it works for the whole deal team to be able to log into one spot, 24/7, and have that kind of source of truth for the deal. And it works really well because it lays out, who's running with what, who's responsible for what. And there's a few things that we have. One of them I'll talk about a little bit here. We call it our daily ritual. If you log in to OneSource to start your day, right? Most people start their day and say, "Hey, I've got deal A, deal B, deal C, deal D. What's in my court? Who do I have to follow up with? What am I responsible for?" And they kind of go about their day, or at least starting their day that way. With OneSource, it can summarize all of your deals and all of your to-do items on all those deals into one spot. And so we say the daily ritual is just logging in, seeing what's on your plate, and then creating your to-do list from that. And then you can see what other people are working on too, and create your follow-up list on that. So, yeah.
So here's what I want to do. I want to go through a deal, a hypothetical deal. Let's say we have a deal in Arizona, and an office building, okay? Or let's say a multifamily. Let's go easy. Easy because everybody loves multifamily nowadays. Okay, let's go. It's a multifamily deal in Arizona, 250 units, and there's we're going into this deal. Let's say it's, I don't know how much it is in Arizona, 250. It would be, let's say, $10 million. Okay, we're going into that deal, and very nice. Let's go through the process and how OneSource is actually helping us. Let's go through the deal. Comes out the broker and he wants to sell the deal. Let's go.
Yep. So the broker is the user in this case. So the broker is hired, right, to be the listing agent to sell this property. The first thing they would do is, if this was in their CRM, right, Salesforce or Apto, right, we actually integrate so they can at a click of a button pull the data from their CRM right into OneSource, and it actually creates the deal for them. And so that was a new feature for us, to where you don't have to double entry. If you have a lot of this data already in your CRM, once that deal meets a certain stage, or maybe an opportunity is created, then it creates a deal in OneSource, right? So then the deal is created in OneSource. It fills out all the data regarding the deal. The next step would be to determine who's on the deal team. So who on your side is actually participating in the deal? Do you want your client, maybe the building owner, or maybe a couple people from the building, to actually have access to this deal? The buyer, the buyer's attorneys, whoever it is, add them all to the deal room. And then one thing that's unique with OneSource is we have these 100% customizable deal templates. And so if you're doing a multifamily sale deal, you can plug that template in and it can populate, a list of, stages and tasks that ultimately need to get completed on that deal. And so,
is that pre-acquisition or post-acquisition?
So this would be, when does OneSource come into play, right? Is that might be your question, right?
Yes.
So we think like right at the LOI stage, right when there's like real traction where we're really starting to work on the actual transaction piece. In terms of marketing and, hey, I'm the listing broker, I've got to go find, 10 different potential buyers. That probably still would take place in the CRM or whatever marketing tools, Crexy, whatever's out there. Once there's a buyer and there's actually interest and you're working on the deal, create the deal in OneSource, and then you're 100% of your time spent in OneSource. And so that template is, hey, from that point all the way to close, what needs to get done? And again, it's about 10 minutes to create these templates. We actually provide a number of templates upon sign up that are just generic, and then help you customize them to your workflow. And so the idea with the template is, hey, I don't want something falling through the cracks. I don't want to forget to order a third-party report. I don't want to, I don't want something like that. Let's put it all right up front and, on the platform. And then it's as easy as saying, yes, we need that. We need that. We need that. Oh, maybe we don't need this one. And then defining who's responsible for what. And so those templates kind of help facilitate the course of the deal.
So for example, meaning your system will have already, let's say, for example, you need a phase one, you need a whatever it is, you need check LLCs, you need to, whatever, all that stuff. Yep. You need the underwriting part of it, whether it's the initial underwriting or the thorough underwriting, which comes a little bit down the road, the financing stage of who you approach and who is dealing with that. If there are finance brokers, or all those are coming into that program. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I got it. So it's a process. And of course, the due diligence process is the main part of why I guess you need this. But it sounds to me, and that's my question here, that the real clients for this type of a product would not be the brokers. Maybe I'm wrong, and I would like to hear it from you, would be the GPs. And even maybe the LPs, meaning if you can have private equity funds to come and use that kind of a process to have it streamlined, or especially the general partners, the sponsors, obviously, of a deal, the people who are actually acquiring the deal and are operators, and they need it to be streamlined. Obviously, being wearing that hat in the past, we had a list of, an action item list.
Yeah.
What we had to do, a real Excel that, meaning even in my online course, I give that list that I created at the time. And I'm sure that but it's a list that we shared, but nobody actually used because there was no login, there was no this, there was no, there was no real system. It was just an Excel. So I think this is a beautiful idea. But again, I think the real clients are the sponsors. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, no, that's an interesting point, because one thing that we say is for brokers, right? When we're talking to brokers is, hey, your clients, your building owners, the people you're representing, the people who hire you, they are going to ask for reports. They're going to ask for updates. You're going to have to provide that. This is one way to add that visibility, transparency for the ultimate client or the building owner. That person can have a login and log right in and monitor the progress of the deal, right? And you talked about an action item list. We call it the APL, or the action priority list, right? So every single deal participant has their own APL. And so all they have to do is log in. They see what they have to do, when they have to do it, who else is going to work on that specific task with them. And ultimately, right, all of that kind of feeds into getting the deal closed.
I think that's fantastic. And I want to ask you now on the startup end of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm also in the prop tech scene.
Yeah.
And the prop tech industry is just crazy. It's booming. It's flying. Things are going. Having said all that, you know, the market is still very slow with adapting to the technology.
Yeah.
But the technologies are coming up very quickly. So when you have that type of a solution, you have competition, which is okay. We have competition for everything. Okay, every single thing we're involved in, we have competition. It's a part of life. But there are a lot of solutions out there that come and streamline processes, project management, and this is sort of a project management in a nutshell for acquisitions. The question is, how you guys deal with the market out there and the pace of developing the company, et cetera, and the marketing, the branding that you guys use, the go-to-market strategy. If you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think there's really two things that make us unique. One, right, my dad being our CEO and ultimately founder of CRE OneSource, and having his background as a commercial real estate broker for 30 plus years. I think that gives us a distinct difference in the sense of, we say something all the time, we meet you where you're at. So we aren't going to ask you to uproot your whole system and change the way you're doing it. And I'll be honest, that was something when we first acquired the assets last year, we started asking people to say, hey, you don't need to do emails anymore. I know you've been living in your email. OneSource can centralize that. No more emails, save you a bunch of time. And that idea flopped. The reason was people had been doing deals for 25 years via email, and there was no way they were going to be able to change overnight. And so we've added features to help store, organize, extract attachments on their email and keep them more organized and essentially bring all the communication together. And so that's one example of us saying, hey, we're going to meet you where you're at. And that's a big kind of core belief of ours is
nice.
We're not trying to totally change the system. And I think that's important, especially in this industry, right?
Yeah.
It's slow adopters. And there's multiple reasons for that, but we want to make it as easy as possible to implement, as easy as possible to adopt and start to use. And so, our daily ritual, we have, weekly meeting. Everyone has a weekly pipeline meeting, right? You can just pull OneSource up and it very easily facilitates that conversation. And so trying to fit into what people are already doing on a daily and weekly basis, I think is really key to how we go to market and get people to adopt the software. And then the other thing that I think that makes us a little bit unique, and you can add to this, most softwares in the space, right? Most platforms, most companies go to the CBREs, the JLLs, the Marcus and Millichaps at the corporate level and ask for a free trial with a team or two, and try to get in that way through the corporate level, and that's really top down, right? And watching my dad, and this was really a strong belief of my dad's, was, hey, at the corporate level, they can suggest things, but they can't really force all the brokers to use platforms. At the end of the day, brokers and these people are going to use what they want. And so we call it the bubble up, where we actually are going to individual teams. And if we can add so much value to those individuals that they want to use OneSource and that they're getting so much value out of it, it's going to be the easiest thing in the world to end up going to the corporate levels. And so again, it's super unique. But I think we're doing the hard work first by getting traction with the actual individuals and the actual users. And if CBRE has 50, 100 different brokers that are just loving it, it'll be a way different conversation than us trying to go from the top down.
So I'll tell you, I wasn't a broker like your dad. Okay.
Yeah.
But I came across it. I dealt with it a little bit, of course, from that end. Real estate investment banking at the time. But let me tell you something. I still hold my grounds that the real client is the GP. Why? Mm-hmm. Because in my opinion, the brokers are those who want to sell. That's what they want. They want to sell. They don't want streamlined. They don't want any processes. They want to sell the deal.
Yep.
So if I'm a broker and I have a deal to sell and I have a client, all I need is an LOI. I hook them up together, just deal with each other and get it done. If I have to, as a broker, to start educating the people of doing whatever they need and it's start telling them use a program, this and that, I feel, it's my personal feeling, I feel like they're just not, like, if I'm a broker, like, I'm not going to start educating them to use the software. Just do the deal and get me my commission and let me get out of there. Okay.
Right.
Same for a finance broker. Get the loan, get the loan, get the loan. Goodbye. That's it. Right. Even an equity broker, everybody, or whatever, equity connectors and all those, everybody. That's why I still hold my ground when you said that, you brought the idea of this beautiful product. I think that if I'm now a guy who does the acquisition, I'm looking for a deal, and I need to now to streamline the whole process together with my team and with all the Excel sheets that I have. And there's the seller and there's the buyer, and then there are my investors, and everybody's coming in. They want to see. I think this is the best tool for transparency, at the same time for everybody to use it in order to streamline the process. Why? Because if my analyst is putting out the information, and at the same time the lawyer is checking out the LLCs, and he's coming out with all the whatever needs to be done, whether it's phase one or whatever. If I have a construction management guy who's coming in the very beginning to give us some numbers in order to, from his end, from the construction side, of things. If it's a broker that is leasing broker that is coming to actually consult us of how this deal is going to be sold, every single data is coming in through that. I believe this could be priceless for everybody. So that's the way I see it, at least. Meaning, I see that this is that's what I would put the effort. But I think this is a phenomenal product for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, those are conversations we've had very recently, ideas we've had very recently, and actually has started to have conversations on the property owners and the building owners, the GPs, like you said, because, ultimately people will go where the money is, right? And if they're the one controlling the transaction, if they're the one that say, hey, I'll hire you if you use my system or whatever, it changes the incentive structure a little bit. And brokers, they'd happily use the software if it means they're going to get the business, right? So it is something we've started to look at, and I think you're onto something there.
Beautiful. I love the idea. So tell me something. You are 27 years old.
Yeah.
How do you envision yourself within this platform? What is your role within this platform that your dad came up with and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And you joined him?
Yeah. So my title is Chief Operating Officer. So I really run the day-to-day. And like I said a little bit earlier, when I first joined, there were really two or three things that I was really focused on. One was understanding the client, the market, and where and I guess the competitive kind of the competitive softwares, where we fit in that ecosystem and how we, where our competitive advantage is. That was number one. Number two is building the right team, right? None of this happens without the right team. And that's something that I've really taken the lead on, was building and shaping out the team, finding the right people, and then ultimately getting them up and running and believing in them so that they can all succeed.
100%.
And so that's, if you say my dad is a little bit more on the relationship side and the high level strategy side, mine is really in the day-to-day on executing, and saying, hey, this is our objective, this is our goal, this is where we're headed, how do we get there?
How many people do you guys have in the team today?
We're at 10 with another 2 part-time interns, so 10 full-time and a couple interns.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. That's beautiful. I love the separation between the roles between you and your dad, and obviously your dad is an all-timer when it comes to that. Very, very interesting and very intriguing. This whole thing is very intriguing. Tell me something, Charlie. What do you and your dad think about the whole prop tech scene? What do you think is going to be, the next thing? What do you guys, when you talk about all kind, because your dad is has been investing for years. So there are obviously conversations between you guys of what is the next thing. Obviously, you are focused now on your company, but I'm sure that your dad is also like looking around and saying, okay, this is very interesting, and that is very interesting. I would like to hear what you guys think about the prop tech scene, as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I would say when we first got into this, everyone knows commercial real estate is a lagging, software adopting industry.
Right.
And I think a lot of the prop tech, the venture capitalists, the software companies, on the outside see that and see a huge opportunity. And frankly, we did too. When we got in it, I'd say one thing we learned was there's a reason for it, right? People in commercial real estate, especially those who are on commissions, are inherently successful, right? If they aren't successful, they're usually out of the business. And so they make a lot of money. And a lot of them have this kind of demeanor or thought process of like, why change what's working for me, right? And so that, I think, is at the core of why commercial real estate is a little bit of a lagging software adopting industry. In terms of looking forward, and we've done we've had a ton of conversations, honestly, tens of thousands over the last year, company-wide, of conversations with people in the industry. And from that, we're pulling big themes and obviously working that into our product roadmap. And some of those include everyone is desperate for a one-stop shop, right? And everyone is desperate for, hey, I've got 5, 6 different technologies. I use Dropbox for this. I use my CRM for that. I use CoStar for this, and everyone's desperate. And so we really, looking forward, what is the company, what does our product roadmap look like? We are focused on integrating all of that so that data can flow in between all these different systems.
Yeah, integration is the name of the game, without a doubt. When you have a good product, when you have a good solution, then you have to be able to integrate, and you guys have to be in touch with the integrators, like those who are, that's their expertise. I'll love to speak to you about this separately. But this is such a phenomenal idea. I love that, Charlie. And thank you so much for being with us and sharing all the, the history. It was phenomenal to hear about your story, your dad's story, your story, how you started, how you got into it. You are a phenomenal young man, with a lot of talents and focus, and I love that. And what I would like to do is, if you could tell everybody, you guys could see the links above below, how to get in touch with Charlie and his father and the company of CRE OneSource. But, Charlie, if you could tell us, in your own words, how people can find you.
Yep. Yeah. So you can find us in a couple areas. Our website is CREOneSource.com, LinkedIn, CRE OneSource. My personal email, Yishai, you can share it, charlie.coppola@CREOneSource.com. I would love to talk to anyone. And we have an email blast.
LinkedIn, I'm assuming you said LinkedIn.
LinkedIn and our website would probably be our two best. And then we've got an email newsletter going out once a week. Awesome. And we really focus that on value add. We're not trying to sell. It's more, hey, this is different trends we're seeing, different things in the industry. And so, we'll post that on LinkedIn and our website as well.
I love that. Charlie, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate your time, really.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. It's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
No problem. Stick around for a second. You guys, hope you enjoyed this conversation, because this was really enlightening. And you got a firsthand to hear about one of the softwares that are going to change the market, the commercial real estate market. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something about it. And again, you can contact Charlie and the company of OneSource, CRE OneSource. You guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you.